There's a new trailer out for the new Star Wars show Skeleton Crew, and some people think it might be great. Some people, not very receptive to it at all. And some people say it could be good, but it doesn't belong in the Star Wars universe. Let's talk about that and some of the rumors we've heard out of Lucasfilm here on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, and here with me is avid trailer watcher, Mr. VashSky. Vash, how many trailers did you watch over the weekend?
Oh, probably about a dozen. The Walt Disney Company definitely got a lot of footage out there. Some of it, maybe not in the way that they were anticipating, but that's okay.
Yeah. I think they knew what was going to happen with this one, and so far they're not pulling down any videos because of trailers. That's we're talking about Twitter here. I think they like the press that they're getting. So let's talk about this one though. Skeleton Crew is premiering on December 3rd on Disney Plus. There's going to be, just like there always is, there's a two-part drop. There's going to be episode 1 and 2 all at once. This one is starring Jude Law, and it's being described consistently as Amblin-esque, which is to say that it's like those old Steven Spielberg things that we still keep calling back to. I don't know if that is an AstroTurfed talking point, but I could see that if they're going for that in this trailer. Vash, have you heard anything else that you want to throw in before we start watching this?
Yeah, I've heard it's a ragtag group of kids that are going on a Star Wars adventure in someplace in the galaxy, a little bit removed from the wider galaxy as a whole, as we've been previously exposed to. And, well, boy, oh boy, are we exposed to, well, another inconceivable realm of the galaxy.
Yeah, this one appears to be Southern California, maybe in the 1980s if it was Star Wars. Anyways, let's talk about that here. This from the @StarWars account. Let's go.
Tomorrow's test will set the course of your entire future.
All right. So first of all, some of this looks like if you said that a child was imagining that their normal life in 1980s America was set in the Star Wars universe, this would be the kind of thing that they would overlay on top of it. This there's some things that are very Star Wars, like for instance, there aren't any handrails in Star Wars. I've often heard that's a design aesthetic that they go for. Although there were handrails in The Acolyte for some reason. I don't know. Also, going to school in Star Wars is not really something we've contemplated, but the people that we've talked about in Star Wars so far appear to be like slaves and junkers and people who are scrapping to survive. The poor people in Star Wars. That's another reason that maybe the Galactic Star Cruiser didn't quite hit in the way that Disney was anticipating. But this appears to be normal children in Star Wars, which I'm going to say is something we haven't had a lot of contemplation of.
I would agree.
Also, that John Watts is the director of this one. He's the guy in charge of the Spider-Man films, the ones that are Sony and Marvel productions together.
Don't you ever want to do anything exciting? Like what? What if we could go anywhere we want in the whole galaxy? A real adventure. No more.
So we do have media and someone contemplating watching, I guess, a Jedi facing off against a giant creature in Star Wars. Looks like consumer bed sheets. That's another thing that we don't quite see a lot of in Star Wars. This is very Amblin-esque, the idea of kids interacting here. Sorry for all the interruptions, but if you want to watch the trailer, we'll leave the link in the description below.
Adventure. No more pretend. I found something buried in the woods. What do you think it is?
Kids pushing their bikes through a grassy area. Very Stranger Things. Again, another Amblin-esque series. I have memories of doing that as a kid.
I think it's a lost Jedi temple. Hello? Be careful where you step. We're lost. Really lost.
Hey, let's talk about this guy right here. Vash, what's he look like to you?
He looks like a fuzzball. Fuzzball being the one of the key characters in the 1980s Captain EO. 1986, I believe, is going to be the date for that one. Captain EO being a production actually initiated by Michael Eisner for the purposes of turning around the Walt Disney Company and making it more teen-friendly. Bringing in George Lucas as part of that, and in lieu of Star Tours opening and really kind of setting the world on fire, they needed something in between there because Star Tours was obviously many years away, wouldn't open until 1987. So they rounded up Francis Ford Coppola and George Lucas and Michael Jackson and produced, at the time, one of the most expensive productions of all time. Actually, I think it was about $1 million a minute for film. And incredibly expensive, but a huge game changer for the parks. It was a 3D show experience, and we had characters like Major Domo, Hooter, and Fuzzball that you're seeing on your screen right there as part of that. And a lot of people have been saying that the K2SO, the variant that we see in this trailer, looks like Major Domo, that this character looks a lot like Fuzzball, and I would say it is a Fuzzball, that the little kid character that we've seen earlier in the trailer looks a lot like Hooter. A lot of people saying that Captain EO has returned, at least in some form, which, I don't know, kind of makes sense because, George Lucas and all that, there's a connection there for sure. And it's obviously they're going off of like a 1980s aesthetic. So it all kind of makes sense. But again, I have larger thoughts on this.
Yeah,
but just so you know, folks,
I think that Captain EO thing is going to play into our conversation towards the end here. So let's put a pin on that for now. By the way, big orbs holding fish and things like that. That's very Star Wars.
It is dangerous out there in space. Trust no one.
You're a Jedi.
It's Jude Law. All right, Vash. This is, to me, I'm going to say something that is probably going to get me in trouble here. I think it's a good trailer on its own. I think it's a good trailer. I don't think it's very Star Wars. And I actually think that this would be better if it wasn't Star Wars. Now, it needs to be Star Wars in order for Disney to sell it as Star Wars so that they can, check the box. Lucasfilm did something here. But I like this trailer. I think it has potential. I think that it has a hopeful feeling, which is something Star Wars has not had for quite some time now. And I generally think it's a good showing here.
So, Jonas, you actually, you think me beautiful? Okay, that's a Captain EO reference right there. Look,
by the way, on that note, I think if they said that this was Captain EO Skeleton Crew, I would also think that is a better use of IP. It would show me that they're doing something creative at the Walt Disney Company. And I'm okay if they don't use Michael Jackson in a Captain EO production here for obvious reasons. I wouldn't give them a hard time about that, although they would need to have an excellent dancer in there as well.
Absolutely, 100%. That would actually be pretty cool, Jonas. A Captain EO series there. Very, very cool. And I think would be more appropriate than attaching this to the Star Wars name. The problem I have with this is there is potential here. There really is. And I think the back half of this trailer actually looks a lot better than the front half of this trailer because it's the suburbia thing. It's setting this in kind of a pseudo 80s California world that I can't get behind. When it was originally pitched, when I thought like Amblin style film, I'm thinking Goonies, I'm thinking this is going to be a ragtag team on some, I don't know, ship or something. The fact that we're actually setting it in 1980s California, that's a very strange move right there. I can't get behind that idea, and it completely takes me out of the Star Wars universe that we've all come to know very, very well and love. We've seen nothing like this in terms of this aesthetic in any other Star Wars media, at least not that I can recall. Maybe there's some comic book out there that somebody has seen, and I don't know. I had a couple people on Twitter.
There always is. When you mention that they haven't put this in the lore before, the there's always somebody that's like, oh, well, actually, let me tell you why cortosis is something that we've all been waiting to be in. Whatever. The discourse around Star Wars has always been problematic, and now just the fact that there are people who have completely dismissed Star Wars as a franchise, I myself among them, makes that even more volatile on the internet.
Well, Star Wars wasn't like an all-incorporative brand before. It was like you knew what was Star Wars and what wasn't. Does that make sense, Jonas?
Yeah, it was a movie.
Universe.
It was a movie, and then it was 3 movies, and then it was 6 movies. And once you get past that, that's where people had problems. Of course, the expanded universe novels. I just got done reading. Well, I'm not quite done with the Thrawn trilogy. It's been very slow going because I've been busy here. But the idea of living in the universe where Luke Skywalker and Han Solo and Leia and Chewbacca and Lando Calrissian and Talon Card all still exist. That's a fun idea, and people are willing to drop a little extra cash to say, yeah, the continuing adventures of the people that I enjoy in these films, or the continuing adventures of Anakin and Obi-Wan. That's fine. But this right here, like you said, there's something that's not quite right here. I don't understand why this is Star Wars as opposed to just being some random other thing. It feels very cynical, the idea that it's Star Wars. In fact, if they had made this something else where it's somebody hallucinating in the 1980s that they are in Star Wars, that would be more interesting to me. Or if it was, what if something like a Last Starfighter kind of thing, where you find out that your world is a lot bigger than the one that you imagined, as opposed to let's have these kids who go to school and they run into Star Wars. That doesn't really make sense to me in the Star Wars universe. This is a few steps away. And if it doesn't connect at all, which by the way, it does kind of look like it connects. There's a character in The Mandalorian season 3 that based off of what we're seeing from D23, I think that literal character is in this show, one of the pirates that kind of runs away in Mando season 3. So I don't know. Right. Is this set in that era? I have questions. I don't know. I will say at this point, I am looking forward to this series. What do you have to say about that, Vash?
I don't know if I'm looking forward to it. I've heard that it's set within the Mando timeline. That's what I've heard, but I can't obviously. I haven't been able to confirm that just yet. I know there's some descriptions and more descriptions about what this is all about. I mean, we're just kind of reacting to, kind of giving you our first impressions of what this looks like right here. And it's just, I don't know if it's there's nothing really compelling me to watch this in the same way that maybe Andor is, right? Like, like Andor has a deep connection to Star Wars. Obviously, that time period itself is very pivotal for the entire fate of the galaxy and so forth. Like, I can get on board that. But this, on the other hand, I really just don't know, Jonas. I'm really unsure. Maybe I'll see the reviews and so forth, see what people are saying about it. Maybe there's a headcanon in me that says, okay, maybe this is maybe divorced from Star Wars in my headcanon. Now I can actually enjoy it, which probably would have been a good idea to set this Star Wars adjacent, like you said. This seems like say Guardians of the Galaxy 3, for example, right? There was a suburbs there, and it kind of worked because it was Guardians of the Galaxy, it was Marvel, it was low stakes, it was whatever. But you just can't do that with Star Wars. If you do that too much, then, well, it becomes, well, The Acolyte, for example.
Yeah, I will say one thing about The Acolyte. It does appear to be set, at least in the aesthetic of the Star Wars universe. Now, we did hear a rumor out of Lucasfilm that the Lucasfilm people do not like what they've seen from Skeleton Crew at this point. And I have questions as to Jon Favreau and how integrated he is into Lucasfilm, and the fact that I think they put Dave Filoni's name on this as well. But John Watts, I think he's still being courted to work on projects here. So the word around town is that he's still hireable. So, there's that. If Lucasfilm doesn't like this, you could read that as, oh, well, everybody thinks this is garbage. Or you could read it as the studio that approved The Acolyte says that they don't like this. So maybe that means it's actually good. I don't know. I'd love to know everyone's thoughts on that in the comment section down below. Am I off on my own yet again here on That Park Place, and everyone's going to tell me I'm wrong? That's fine. I can live with that. I have my own opinions here. Let me know yours, though, in the comment section down below. Like this video if you like this video, and of course, consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.